Good morning,
Good
everybody.
morning, everyone. It's time to wake up
and smell the rosin.
Yay! So it's interesting, as we sat down in front of the screen, I realized that we're dressed just like the weather. It's April 17th, Saturday. Yesterday was 100 degrees, so I didn't look out the window, just ran, got ready, just a super summery dress. And then I realized it's actually 63 degrees outside. And Esther, who was up much earlier than I was aware of that. So, so we had a good laugh about it.
And that's not, to be honest, that's also acceptable weather for a dress. It's just that I like sweaters, so I look for any excuse. Yeah. I'm like, oh, it's slightly cloudy, I'm going to go put on a sweater.
Yeah, but it does. And then I looked at my phone, it's 63 degrees. Can you imagine that? Yesterday was almost 100. Was it? Did it get to 100? It was close enough. All right, so how's our sound?
Good.
Is it good? So guys, We're so excited today. Esther, you can introduce our guest.
Awesome. So we have a really special guest today, Dr. Norman Gamboa. He is the music director newly appointed at Utrgv, University of Texas Rio Grande Valley, for anybody who's watching not from the Valley. But we are so excited to have him here, so he can go ahead and turn on his camera, unmute, and he will tune in with us here in a minute. There he is.
Yeah.
Hi, Dr. Gamboa.
Hi, Dr. Gamboa.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, we're so glad you could join.
So today since Dr. Gamboa is still pretty new to the Valley, we wanted to have him on our show and just hear about all the different projects and things he's working on, especially specifically with the Youth Symphony. So yeah.
Yes. I know that I specifically contacted my friends, educators, because they're really excited about your...
Yep, we already got lots of good mornings.
Yes.
Hello from Adriana and Karina. They're
Hi,
both
guys.
music educators here in the
Valley.
Valley.
Thank you so much for joining.
And Galina and
yes,
Babula
my aunt and my mom are watching too. But yes, this has been for a long time. We were asked about whether we're going to have Youth Symphony or not, and so I'm so glad I remember, Dr. Gamboa, that was one of the first things. Once you got in, and sorry you had to start in such a hard year. Well, how did it feel? How did you deal with the challenges of starting in the new university, as a director of orchestra activities during the COVID year?
Well, it's been pretty challenging, to say the least. There is no program on the planet, conducting program anywhere around the world that will teach you how to do an orchestra that cannot meet in person. So it's been an absolute difficult time for just about everybody, but I have to say the students have been tremendous in their positive attitude and their desire to do things. So that has made things a lot easier for me, particularly. But yes, it's something that not in a million years I would have imagined we will go through something like this. I always say this is something we read in the history books. Never thought we will be part of it at some point. So yes, it's been challenging, but I guess it's sparked a lot of creativity, not only from my part, but also from everybody everywhere. So it's been interesting to see how musicians and artists have managed to keep the arts alive. So it's been a really interesting time.
Absolutely.
And
that is awesome.
And I know that my friends, music educators, orchestra directors in schools also had the same challenge, dealing with trying to get students to play together without being in one place. But so you guys can feel free to pitch in with your experiences on that. But I wanted to mention that my students, for those who might not know, I'm a violin professor at Utrgv, and I have to say that the second semester, when you started when that program where you did meet in very small groups, kind of staggered, I know that my students were very, very encouraged by that, and I've heard from many of my students that it encouraged them to practice because they really missed making music together. Because we have our studio class, but it's all virtual, where we see each other virtually. But a lot of my students said that it did make, even being distant and even like not the real orchestra, but just meeting, being like in the same space making music, it made a huge difference for them, and it just showed how much music is a collaborative art, isn't it? I don't think we ever understood how powerless we are without collaboration as musicians.
That is correct. And like you just mentioned, we have been practicing orchestra together, quote unquote, this semester. We split the group into various smaller little, I guess, chamber orchestras, and they are all playing the same repertoire. And this week, we're all coming together virtually again, um, bringing all this music together into one single recording. So we hope that the final product is going to be what you will get with a full symphony orchestra in an actual concert setting. So we're looking forward to it. It's very creative. We're doing music that is related to animals. So we're doing the Symphony Number 83 by Haydn, which is known as the Hand Symphony, and we're also doing the Carnival of the Animals. So it's a lot of creativity that is taking place, and we're really excited about it.
That's
That's
great. And when
wonderful.
is that concert? We'd love to let people know so they can attend.
It's gonna be aired through Patron of the Arts series at Utrgv, but because there's so many components that we have to put together, we have I'm recording the narration for the Carnival with the Animals, for example, is going to be done by the director of the zoo in Brownsville. So I have
Okay.
to meet with him uh, to record him, and then the orchestra individual parts need to record and then bring all that together. So as far as a specific date goes, we're trying for as soon as possible.
Okay.
That's
Well, you let
amazing.
us know, please, because this is amazing, and I know our subscribers will love it. So let
Yes.
us know, and we'll be sure to share. So guys, keep an eye out
Yeah.
for this, because that sounds amazing. And I've been
Yes.
seeing your
Yes, me
Facebook
too. I was
posts
gonna
about it,
say with
about
Juan
the
Pablo
animals.
Andrade, I saw that little snippet. It looks really, really fun. It sounds great.
Really
So
exciting.
Yeah, the students are really doing a magnificent job, so I'm really proud of what they have accomplished.
well, thank you so much for your work, and to all of the orchestra directors who are tuning in,
Yeah,
if
we have a
or
lot of
music teachers
students.
and students.
Natalie, Clarissa, Victoria, Brianda, Samantha.
Wow, amazing. Thank you guys. So, just in case if you tuned in a little later, Dr. Norman Gamboa is the our newly appointed, recently appointment, I should say, it was already last year,
Yeah.
or Director of Orchestra Activities at UTRGV. And I know that you have a lot of plans for the community, not just for UTRGV Orchestra, which I saw the first season already came out. Fingers crossed. Hopefully, we get to do the Brook together if everything works, which I'm super excited, guys. I don't know. I didn't mention it before because I wanted to make sure, but since you already posted it, if everything works out and we're back face to face, normal, the hopefully in the fall, I will get to a privilege of soloing with Dr. Gamboa and the UTRGV Orchestra and playing Brook Concerto, which,
And
believe
I've
it or
gotta
not,
say, she plays a mean Brook.
but believe it or not, I taught it so much, but I never played it. So I'm excited that I finally get to play it. So this is wonderful. But apart from UTRGV Orchestra, I would love for you to share your plans for the community, for RGV, because it's such a music-filled, talent-filled community, and so many amazing enthusiasts of actual string playing, orchestra playing. So, and I know that's one of the first things you mentioned, so that's what I wanted you to tell us about.
Yeah, of course. Besides what we're trying to do at UTRGV, which has been a very slow start because of COVID. Just like you said, we're keeping our fingers crossed that we will be able to stick to next year's plans. Uh, we have developed, and I say we because Dr. Kurt Martinez, the director of the School of Music, has been instrumental in helping me get these projects off the ground. So the main one that we're very excited about and looking forward to get it started is the Rio Grande Youth Symphony, and it's going to be affiliated to UTRGV, of course, and I think it's going to fulfill a void that has been in the community for quite some time, ever since the project was canceled back when it was hosted by the Valley Symphony. I think we're going to be able to revive it and make it bigger and more productive, more interesting for the students, and I think it's gonna uh, give an extra outlet for creativity to all these very talented students that we have across the valley. And I'm really looking forward to it. I have been working with a lot of the uh, orchestra school teachers in the area just to get advice on how to proceed with this. We're still kind of figuring out repertoire since we first have to do the auditions, which by the way, there will be uh, excerpts will be getting posted on the School of Music website very soon. We're aiming for the month of May, to have all this available.
That's exciting.
And yes, so we're extending our very very broad invitation to everybody, all the students. Is open to ages 12 to 21. So any student that feels like they wanted to have an additional um, experience, orchestral experience, and in addition to what they're getting at the university or at college, they may also look into it. We'll be more than happy to have as many talented participants as we can.
Now, this is excellent. I'm so glad you're bringing it back because I did not UTRGV, but I did the youth symphony when it was still with the Valley Symphony, like affiliated. And it was back in the old music building, you remember? And it was like I was in like seventh grade, so it was a long time ago. I'm 24
But you
now.
still remember it.
I remember it and I loved it. I had a great time. I met a lot of really awesome kids who I also got to do like all region with, and it was really really fun. And I also did, when we moved to Topeka, I did youth symphony there, and it was just a really fun integral part of my growth as a musician when I was young. And I think because you have the school orchestras, but it's also fun to meet people from different schools, different communities. And I think that's what this provides. It provides that connection. And it's like it's an inspiration because you get to see people from all different levels, all different walks of their musical journey. And to me, it was very inspiring. And I think it also inspired like a healthy competition too, to make me want to practice and want to so I could play well, to play with my peers alongside them. And so I really think that Youth Symphony is a wonderful thing, and I'm so excited that you guys are bringing it back because it's so. I think it really is a very integral part of the just learning and growth as a musician. Plus, with the Youth Symphony, there's a lot of things that because you have instruments coming from all over. So like sometimes in a school orchestra they separate the orchestra and band, so you don't ever get to play like big symphonic works. But with the youth symphony you get to combine those two different groups and have experiences that you normally wouldn't have maybe in a school orchestra, which is like invaluable experience, especially if you end up going into music. So when you go to college you don't feel like you just got thrown into this big entity that you have no idea what it is. Like you got to have some experience playing that kind of rep before. It's really really important. So this is great.
Wow, I'm so glad you
Correct.
said that because I always wondered what, since most of the students have the school orchestras, I always wondered what was the benefit of having being all together. And I'm so glad you mentioned it because yeah, even in terms of repertoire, you can't really, most of the orchestras are just purely string orchestras in schools, right? And it's very difficult to bring everyone together with band to do something. And then you're right. Also, when you're in your own little pool, you don't know how you compare to your level compares out there to everyone because you might be a genius in your school, but then a couple of blocks down the road, there's another school, and you might hear those people, and you feel like, oh my goodness, I didn't even know you could play that on the violin or on the cello. So that's wonderful. And so, what do you think? Time wise, I know it's very hard to plan, but what would be right now? When are you aiming to actually open up the first season of Youth Symphony? Like approximately, like fingers crossed.
Well, that's one question that I've had for a long time. So, like I said, talking to some of these school teachers that have been advising me. So, we're aiming for having auditions in person in August, towards the end of August. And At first I was considering the possibility of doing pre-recorded auditions, via YouTube or Zoom or something like that. But the recommendation that most orchestra teachers have made is that they think an in-person live audition it will be better, because especially that a lot of these students might be craving for that
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to be back in a
Right.
more
Yeah.
normal setting than what we've had so far. Um, so then again, we're hoping for auditions in August, and the first rehearsal will start with the school year in September.
Wow. So if where would the rehearsals and the performances be held?
Everything is going to be hosted at Utrgv. So rehearsals will be in the orchestra rehearsal hall at the Performing Arts Complex in Edinburgh. However, concerts we will perform uh, in Edinburgh and the Performing Arts
Mhm.
complex, and then we'll take that same program then the very next day and repeat it in Brownsville,
Oh wow,
That's
that's
awesome.
at the
wonderful.
concert hall there. So the students will have the opportunity to experience two different concert halls, play
Wow.
for different audiences, and I think the work they put into polishing this repertoire is worth to be heard at least twice. It's just it's sad when they work so hard to do something like this and they only get to play it one time. So the fact that we have these two venues and the opportunity, and I think that it's wonderful that UTRGV is actually allowing for this to happen. It's just priceless. So like I said, we will be housed in Edinburgh in the orchestra rehearsal hall, which is in the back of the concert hall, and then concerts will take place in both Brownsville and Edinburgh, and yeah, so it's something that we're really excited, and just echoing in what Esther said, I too remember very fondly when I was in the National Symphony in Costa Rica, and the National Youth Symphony rather, and I just hope that this opportunity will bring that many good memories and um, beautiful musical moments for all those that participate.
Yes, absolutely. And I want to thank you for all that you're doing for this community. Because I remember when you started just last September, and in spite of, I'm very impressed that in spite of everything, all the uncertainty, and again, for the conductors, I think it's been the worst because as soloists, yeah, as musicians, if we're just thinking about ourselves, could figure something out. But being a conductor and having to really always collaborate with a lot of people, it could have, it was a very depressing situation. I can't even imagine to be starting out. But I am so impressed because you just really hit the ground running. And I remember all our meetings and you putting forward already like proposals for youth symphony, for summer camps, for all of those things, also extra like chamber student orchestra here at UTRGV. I'm just very grateful for having you here because this is the kind of person we really needed, and I'm so glad that this is turning out to be something very, very productive even this year. And I know that you had some other projects, you know, but would be later, like maybe like a summer camp. There were ideas floating. What are your thoughts about possibilities of having that eventually, like orchestra summer camp for students that are not in college yet?
But what actually, I completely structured that as a project that it was scheduled to happen this summer. But with the uncertainty of COVID and not knowing where we're going to be uh, at that time, in terms of can we have multiple people in one room or it still has to be limited capacity. So we decided to postpone it, but we are definitely bringing it back for the following summer, and it will be a week long summer camp for both. So it will be not only orchestra, but it will be an intense week for concert band that will take place. So the wind players that don't participate in orchestra, they also get to perform with the concert band and work with Dr. Torres, which is
Wow.
also a wonderful opportunity for them to do.
That's
Awesome.
amazing. So this is exciting. That's coming. So you guys, keep in mind it's coming
Mm-hmm.
next year. And
Yeah. And if anybody has, I just want to give a shout out because we have a lot of people tuned in right now. If anybody has any questions about being a conductor, being a music director, feel free to ask in the chat. Or if you have any specific questions about what it's like to be in youth symphony or what summer festivals are like, summer camps, anything at all, just let us know in the chat and I'll be monitoring those so
yes.
I can ask because we have a lot of good mornings,
Yeah.
good
Good morning,
afternoons,
everyone. Thank you
hellos.
so much for
It's
tuning
really
in.
nice. We have a lot of people tuned in.
If I could pitch in, because as a violinist, of course, I've taken a lot of auditions for different types of orchestra, symphony chamber. But let's zoom on the youth symphony upcoming auditions in August. God willing, everything works out. Who would be listening? What would be the criteria? For what
Mm-hmm.
would you be looking for to help our students to prepare better?
Yeah.
Well, right now I would say that for anyone who's interested, if they go to the Utrgv School of Music website and in the community links, they will find the the tab for the youth orchestra, and all the information is there. So, including what are the minimum requirements for string players, like upper positions and so on and so forth, and for the cello, if they can read tenor clef, for example, and those kinds of things. So those are basic things that, because of the level that we're aiming for this group to have, these are skills that participants are going to need in order to be successful. As far as the auditions, I will be participating in, but I will be kind of sitting in the back, and I'm going to have uh, very probably uh, music teachers in the area help with those auditions. So because they have better knowledge of the level of the students, and which ones will be better suited for example, first or second violin, and if they have a good grip for the bow or the fingering, or if they have bad posture or that kind of stuff that might interfere with the music making. So I'm relying on a group of people that are more expert in terms of each individual instrument and their their technique and their limitations and requirements, so we know that the students are going to be better suited for the parts that they're assigned. So, like I said, right now everything that is basic, the list is there in the School of Music website, and I invite everybody to check it out. And
We'll
then
be sure to
also,
post the links in the description once the event is
yes,
over.
yes, and then also, as far as technique, we'll have the music teachers, and I'm even going to be asking on you, help me possibly suggest some possible excerpts for audition
Sure,
material.
sure,
So
because
everything is going to be very uh, meticulously selected, so the students feel that they're doing their best.
yeah, that's
That is awesome.
wonderful.
And I love that you're actively, seeking, especially the local educators, like seeking advice from them and working with them. I think that's so important. Just, I think it's really beautiful. Like after so long we've had, the community feels distant because of COVID and everything, and it's just nice to hear you talking about putting this together and working with the community and thinking of all these things that are coming up. It's just really exciting for me. I'm like, oh, things are getting back to,
Yeah,
and I don't want to say back to normal because like I know there are things that like will be better now. It won't be, it might not be like the old normal,
yeah,
but I think things will be even better. I think people are going to appreciate more. I know I'm going to appreciate more. Like this summer, um, I get to go participate with the National Repertory Orchestra Festival in Colorado, which I was supposed to do last summer. And they're actually splitting it into two 4 week sessions instead of one long 8 week session. And they're splitting the orchestra into like two smaller orchestras so that we can still, like, everybody can
yeah,
still play and everything. And I mean, just thinking about that, I'm like, wow, I appreciate so much more just the
yes,
fact that I get to be able to come together and play with others in an orchestral setting because it's been so long. So this is just really fun for me to like hear about, and I love that you're working with the community and preparing. And I think for myself, when I was that age auditioning for orchestras, I was kind of nervous about like the process. Like, so are you guys gonna do just like, are you planning on doing like a face to face audition, or were you gonna do something like blind, or was it gonna be just like a normal like face to face audition?
I think we're just gonna do the face-to-face audition. I even for a time considered maybe doing screen, so
Mm,
the student wouldn't see
right.
the auditioning panel and vice versa. But since like I personally don't know the students
Hmm.
myself yet, so it wouldn't make a difference. And I think
Right.
in many ways, uh, especially for students that age, a screen audition is a little intimidating, or it could be intimidating. So having that interaction with the audition panel might help identify it and make them feel a little bit more welcome. So we're gonna try for something more face to face.
That's good.
You know, fingers crossed that nothing is gonna go south from now until September that will make us have to reconsider things in a different direction. But yes, so we're I'm looking forward to get to know all the students in the area.
Hmm.
Uh, as my first year in the position at Utrgv, normally I would have gone to all the orchestra programs in the schools in the area by now, but
Yeah.
that was impossible to do this year. So I have not been able to meet every single orchestra teacher. I have not been able to meet the students, of course, and that has just been detrimental because I also, in addition to trying to create opportunities for the students, I would also like to extend uh, you know a helping hand if you know for the teachers in the area. If anyone needs a little bit of assistance with anything I can help with, I will of course be out there.
Hmm.
Being the year that we've had, that was completely impossible to do, but I'm still um, eager to be able to interact with the music teachers and see how I can assist them in advancing even further their music programs. Because I understand, that there is a lot of variety and diversity here as far as not only demographics, but also in terms of playing level
Yes.
and abilities. So it would be great to get to know everyone and see what makes the Rio Grande Valley special.
Yeah, and yeah, so I think that's great that you're doing the face to face. I think, it is funny, like, when I first took my first blind audition, I think it was sometime in high school for like all region, because they do the region auditions live blind, and it is a weird feeling. So I think for Youth Symphony, it's really nice because you're gonna spend so much time with these people and with the director. So it's really nice to go in and see a smiling face instead of just like a board. That's really helpful. So I'm glad to hear that. Also, we have a question from Adriana Olivan. She asked, so that the students have an idea, what is the eventual plan for rehearsals once the COVID situation gets better? Weekly or weekend rehearsals throughout the school year? So she's
For
asking
the
like,
youth orchestra,
mhm.
yeah, for the youth orchestra, the plan is to meet every Sunday starting in September. So we'll meet for 2.5 hours. If I can, if I can remember well, it's from 2 to 4:30 on
Wow.
Sundays, I believe.
That's
But the information is again on the
very well
website.
planned. Right.
That's awesome. That's so
So we'll do every Sunday, and the orchestra will play one program per semester. So we'll work every Sunday, and we're still waiting for dates to be confirmed by the concert hall for both concert halls. And once that's done, then I will release a detailed rehearsal and concert schedule that we'll upload to the website. And we don't know what the repertoire is going to be yet, or most of it, but we do know that for the first program we have a 9-year-old pianist that's a soloist playing one of the Mozart piano concertos. So
Oh,
that will be really something special to
that
be a part of.
is. Oh,
that is
that
awesome.
is. Wow. Is it? is it a local person or from somewhere else?
Yeah, she's a local
Oh,
student.
fantastic.
That's
How wonderful. That
awesome.
is so great. Thank you so much. I was wondering, and this is kind of a mundane question, but sometimes, I get asked very often by my students. So for the audition, the attire, first of all, I'm very glad that you're doing face to face, because in terms of setup, you mentioned, at least for strings, I know the setup is such a big part of the quality of performance. So that is something you cannot really see behind the screen. So that's wonderful. And since it is a face to face audition, what do you recommend as far as, is there a certain code for dressing for the audition, or like what is your recommendation? What is it that they should wear and what is it that they should not wear?
Well, at this point, because it's such a unique area. It's very hot, especially in August. It's going
Yeah.
to be very hot. So we're not going to be super strict as far as attire, except for concerts that that will have the requirement. But as far as the auditions, I will say something that is comfortable, so they're not going to feel restrained, but there's not going to be too much skin showing, for example, that is going to be maybe questionable. Something that is appropriate for this kind of thing, but again, that they will feel comfortable playing it. That it's not gonna, that their sleeves are too tight and they can't move
Yeah.
their arm, or something like this. I wouldn't expect. I will expect a little bit like substantial shoes, for example, not flip flops, so that it shows that they taken this with the with seriously. So it's not just
Mhm.
see what happens, and then also it shows a little bit of respect for those that are taking the time to listen to all these students.
Yes.
If they show up properly dressed and ready to go. So of course that goes without saying that for when we announce the audition times and dates, that they show up prepare a
Mhm.
few minutes in advance so they can warm up properly and all that stuff that comes with taking part of in an audition process.
That's
So don't show
fantastic.
up in fuzzy Cookie Monster PJ pants.
Yeah, yeah, because but it's not necessarily formal attire, right?
Yeah.
So you can be comfortable, but just respectful. Something that you would do for, you know, like if you were coming to an interview, or for maybe your school or something, right? An exam, something that you're comfortable. Yeah, that's very good. I totally agree. So you don't have to wear a tie for boys, for example,
No.
but but don't wear like torn jeans or something like that. Like, okay, that's really great. Can I ask you a couple of questions about so the upcoming UTRGV Symphony, season, because we would love for you guys to encourage your high school students and your middle school students to come and attend performances, because I know it's going to be wonderful. Are there, I know they're probably not dates set in stone, but maybe how many concerts can we expect to hear from UTRGV Symphony? And, again, it's going to be both here and on Brownsville campus like it used to be?
Yes, so we'll repeat the concerts just like we're planning on doing with the Youth Symphony. The UTRGV Symphony Orchestra will also play both in Edinburgh and Brownsville. Um, and we're anticipating to have two programs every semester. So for the first one, for example, and we don't have dates yet. Because of COVID, everything is moving super slow now, and we're waiting for confirmation from both venues. So once that is done, we'll release that. But the plans are for the first program in the fall is that we'll open with the Adagio by Samuel Barber,
Oh,
and
my
that's
goodness.
just because I feel like we need to pay tribute to those who died because of COVID. And then, of course, we'll have the tremendous pleasure of playing with you the
Thank
Bruckner
you.
Violin
Me
Concerto.
too. The pleasure's all mine.
And, we're kind of celebrating a little late Beethoven's 250th birthday, which was last year, but, COVID kind of took care of it. So we're going to do Beethoven's Symphony Number 8,
That's
which
oh,
is also the most happy, uplifting symphony of his collection. And then the second program, we're gonna do two Latin American ballets. One is the Estancia by the Argentinian Alberto Ginastera, and then we're gonna perform another one by a Costa Rican composer, Carlos Escalante, who wrote a ballet for all their dancers, because Costa Rica has the national ballet company, and because they're government employees, they stay on payroll until they're retired. So he was asked to write a ballet for all their dancers that cannot move or and jump and do all that stuff that the younger ones can easily. So it's music for it's very active. However, the choreography that he came up with is very slow moving. So it's interesting to see the contrast. And then of course this has truckloads of percussion. So it's always very exciting to see this. And we'll have in between those two ballets, we'll have Dr. Amorim, George Amorim playing a concerto for double bass.
Wow.
So
Awesome.
that's exciting. And then in the spring, we're anticipating to doing Tchaikovsky Symphony Number 4, which is always a favorite for TMEA
Yeah.
excerpts. So
I was
I
just
think
playing that symphony for I teach like an after school music class through Idea School District, and we were just listening to Tchaik 4 the other day on Zoom screen share, but
yes, so it's one of my favorites, and it's just wonderful. And I think the students at the university will have a great time performing it. And then we'll end the year with Bruckner Symphony Number 4, which is monumental, as you know. It's super long, it's super intense, and I think the students are just gonna shine on that one big time. So we're really excited about the plans that we have, and again, we just hope for the best that we can make them happen.
That's amazing. So, how
great.
does how do so do we need to get the tickets? I mean, I know we usually the faculty we get this like the whole year subscription or something. But what is the best way to reserve our tickets or to make sure that we can attend? Do is there a subscription available, or do they just call the School of Music or PAC? How does it work?
At this time, I'm not sure how we're gonna do it because it's still kind of early in the semester too. And then because we haven't heard back from the venues, I need to know what their preference is gonna be. For right now, I would say for information, they could call the School of Music office and request information about it. The one thing that I would like to mention is that any participant in the youth orchestra gets to go into the UTRGV symphony concerts for free.
Yay, that's wonderful. Do
So
you
they
guys?
get
That's
they get the
awesome.
opportunity to come to. All they have to do is just show up 15 minutes before the concert time at the
Wonderful.
box office and
Oh,
say,
that's wonderful.
"I'm with the youth symphony," and they can get in for free.
That's
So
great.
that's
That's
we're
a
making
great
also that
opportunity.
possible.
Yes, that's very, very good. So, do we have anything else?
No more questions yet. We have a little bit left. If you guys want to ask any questions, I'll leave it open for another, few minutes if anybody wants to ask questions.
Yes.
But this is so great, and is there anything else that you wanted to talk about before, you know, um, we end the broadcast? Is there anything you wanted to say to the community or let people know about?
Well, this is my first year at UTRGV, but I would say it's a program that has the music program has tremendous faculty, and I don't know if many people are aware of that. I think Utrgv is a well kept secret. We need to get the word out.
Yes,
And
very, very well kept.
yes, so I think it has tremendous opportunities for students, and we have wonderful students. Like I said earlier, I'm really proud of how well they're performing uh, in the mini orchestras that we're doing this semester and bringing it all together next week. I'm really looking forward to that. So it's an exciting time to be at UTRGV, and anyone that is considering school, they should look into perhaps putting us as one of the options. And like for me, that in addition to Utrgv that I do conduct two other symphony orchestras, it's just wonderful to be able to work with students and see them grow and you know and shine in what they do compared to working with grown-ups and which is what I do with the other two orchestras. So the process is different and it's very rewarding um, in both instances.
Yeah. Tell us a little more about the professional orchestras that you're conducting.
Well, I'm music director of the Aurora Symphony in Colorado, where I am now. As a matter of fact, I had to come here for a business trip very quick. I'll go back tomorrow, and that's the only community, the only orchestra in the community in Aurora, and it's been around for almost 50 years now. And well, as you know, we've been kind of dormant for the entire year with very little activity, and I'm also music director of the Sonoma County Philharmonic in California. So I do my little share of moving around the country now and then. Fortunately, with COVID, I haven't had to do much moving around, but as you know, so today just started with this trip out here, and it's a different approach. Like I mentioned, the pace of putting together a program with this type of orchestra is a lot faster. We only get well, with the two orchestras I have, we get 7 rehearsals per concert,
Mhm.
and in Colorado, for example, we work every week, so I come once a week to do rehearsals, and then we do the performances. In California, we compress the rehearsals all in 2 weeks. 7 rehearsals in 2 weeks. We do the concerts, and then uh, the next month we go back at it again. So yeah, it's a lot of repertoire that I have to keep working on, and I try not to repeat what one orchestra is doing, and in terms of the other one, because each orchestra has its own identity. So I think you know different groups will have different strengths and different weaknesses, and so I try to program things that will showcase the best of each group. And the same I do with the students at Utrgv, and then hopefully starting in the fall with the youth orchestra, where the repertoire that we'll program will help them grow and will showcase uh, the best they can do.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Well, I know that you are between the flights, so we want to make sure that we don't keep you too long and you make your next flight. Thank you so much for taking this time, even though you have the unexpected trip. But it was just amazing how you still worked out to show on our live stream, and we're very, very grateful. It's been just really, really a pleasure having you, and I'm looking forward to finally working together, face to face, hopefully in the fall. I'm really, really excited about that.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I know that everyone's really appreciative. We had
Yes.
a big audience today for this stream, and so it was great to see that interest and see everybody excited about what you're gonna start in the community, and I'm excited to see it too. So thank you so
Thank you.
much.
And I wanted just to let everyone know I also feel the same about how wonderful my students are, and how many wonderful students we have. And I know those of you music directors that are watching right now, those are like 99% of those students are your work, your hard work, and it's just amazing. And I really appreciate all of the wonderful educators here in the Valley. And I agree that I can't wait to spread more the word out so we could get, even more publicity for UTRGV, because you guys are doing such amazing work. And all these years, it's been kind of, you know, uh, piling up and up. And now that we're just really blooming into something really big. So I'm hoping that we all can get the word spread out, so the UTRGV stops being the secret. Thank you so much. It was just a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. Always good to see you.
course. Thank you. And thank you, everyone. In 2 weeks, we are having our next live stream.
Yes.
Do you want to say a little bit about our
Yes,
guests
just
for the next 2
it
weeks?
really it will be Krista Guthrie. She is a very good. I met her during a festival in Italy that I taught, and she is a wonderful violinist and arranger. And I know I got a lot of my students, a lot of subscribers asked about my arrangements before and how that works, and if we could do something explaining how that works. So next, in 2 weeks, that will be May 1st, right? Saturday.
Already?
Yes, May 1st, Saturday. Krista actually has two of her arrangements, original arrangements for solo violin, sold on Music Notes. And she's going to perform two of those arrangements. The one, Twist and Shout by Beatles, and the second one by Queen. What was it?
Oh, you didn't tell me the second one.
Another one, Bites the Dust. Yeah,
Hey,
so
nice.
violin solo, and she
That's
did an
awesome.
amazing work with that. So what I'm excited about, not only for her to perform the arrangements, we're going to talk about how she works in arranging, and also since me and Esther, we also dabble in arranging for stringed instruments. We're going to have a fun conversation. So if you have any questions or interested, Krista also has a lot of very interesting techniques in her violin arrangements that she can show, and it's going to be just really, really fun live stream. So I hope you guys show again in May, and thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Dr. Gamboa, again for giving us this wonderful interview. And everybody have a wonderful week and have a safe trip, please.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.